morning and welcome back to my TV show, Sweet Tooth Cooking Show. I'm your host, Jocelyn, as always, but of course you guys know that. But if this is your first time watching my show, hi, I'm Jocelyn, welcome to my show, and this is a cooking show. So, today's episode is going to be a little different. We are cooking cheesecake today, but we have a special guest. I heard it's someone's birthday today, and they've never tried cheesecake, so why not come show them? Everyone, welcome Noah to the stage.
Hi, my name is Noah Park, and I'm 18 years old. Yes, I never had made cheesecake before, so why not today? After all, it's my birthday, and I'm open to make new foods.
We washed our hands and they're nice and clean. Why don't we get on the right equipment? And you can't bake without aprons. So, Noah, here's your apron.
Thank you. I actually don't know what cheesecake is actually. Isn't just another form of cake?
No, a lot of people ask that, but cheesecake isn't, even though it says cheesecake, it's not considered a cake.
A pie then, because of the crust on the bottom?
No, some people consider it a pie, but it's not really a pie. That's a correct way of saying it, but that's not the terminology I'm looking for.
Then I have no idea what a cheesecake is then.
A cheesecake is a custard tart. I know that's a little confusing because of the crust in it on the bottom, making it seem like it's a pie, and the fact that cheesecake actually has the word cheesecake in it. But it's okay. If you still consider it a pie, you're not the only one.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up. With me, I didn't know.
I equipment on, and we already washed our hands. Let's get started in the actual baking itself.
But I never cooked cheesecake before, and I've never been in kitchen, so I have no idea what I have to do.
It's okay, Noah. I'll guide you through it. You're going to be here. You'll be fine. So, the first thing we're going to do while cooking a cheesecake is grab a large pan. With this pan, you fill it up with water. Not very little, about half an inch of water. Okay? Now let's get started on that. Now let's get started on the first thing we have to do when baking cookies, the crust. So, what you could do is you could go get store-bought cookies, or what I like to do personally is get my cookies. If you haven't already seen my episode on chocolate chip cookies, it's fine. You could go to Food Network, type in Sweet Tooth Cooking Show, and you could find it there. Now, what I like to do is take my cookies, grab a plate, and I start crunching them together. Noah, why don't you do this? So now, Noah, grab a cookie, and I want you to break it into little bits. This part is extremely important. There. Now, I want you to keep doing that with 5 or 6 cookies. Okay, so you want your cookies looking like this to start off with. See, still, it's not super big, it's not super small, just medium. Now, Noah, you're going to use this to crunch up the cookies into little crumbs. So this is what you're going to need for your cheesecake. You're going to need some chocolate chip cookies, 5 to 6, depending on how you like your crust or how much you're going to make. 5 large eggs, some sour cream for your cheesecake, of course some butter, 4 cream cheese packets softened, some sugar, and of course vanilla extract. Now, since we have all the ingredients, let's get back. The oven is preheated. We're going to open it, and we're going to put the water in. Put 2/3 of your butter. Put your butter inside and wait for it to melt. Our butter is done. We turn off the heat, and we pour it into our cookies. Now we mix it all together, and the cookie crust will start to come together and actually look like a crust. We have our butter in our cookie crust. We are going to start mixing the butter inside the cookie crust. Now Noah, you keep doing that.
How long should I do it?
Do it till all of it is kind of dark. Because if you see, where everywhere the butter touches, it's darker than the parts where the butter hasn't touched. So keep mixing it till all the cookies have touched the butter. Okay, there. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the cookie crust inside the actual pan itself. Now, pour it in. Thank you. Now, it's a good thing we washed our hands because we're gonna use our hands to press down on the cookies like so and start making the crust. Alright, first thing we're going to do is grab our 5 large eggs and break them. Noah, do you know how to break an egg?
No.
No? Okay. So you're going to hit it on the side, grab it, the 2 parts, and just like that. Why don't you try? Okay, now that that's done with, next thing we're going to do is grab our sour cream. Grab 1 1/2 cups of sour cream and pour it in. Since this is a cream cheesecake, you're going to use cream cheese. Now that we have our cream cheese inside, we're gonna grab our sugar. 1 1/4 cups of sugar is exactly what you need. Now for the last, but one of the most important ingredients, vanilla. You're gonna use 2 tablespoons of vanilla. So, no, I'll pour in 1 tablespoon. Open it, please. I'll pour in 1 tablespoon and you'll pour in the next one. Taste, I overflow. Okay, now let's start mixing this, shall we? Mix this all together. Our batter all done and mixed. Look, and you want your batter to look nice and thick and smooth. No bumps, no nothing. Let's go get our crust, shall we? Aluminum is falling off a little bit. Let's just tighten it up. Okay, now that this is done, why don't we pour in our cheesecake filling? Let's pour our filling in. Like so. Noah, do you want to try?
Yep.
This is all nice and in there. The last thing that we could do, or that we have to do, is actually put it in the oven itself. But before we have to do that, since we don't want to burn ourselves, let's go put on our mittens. We have to take out our water bath, put the cheesecake inside, and put the water bath back in. Do you know how long we're supposed to leave it in the oven for?
Nope.
Okay, so that's the weird thing about cheesecakes. You're gonna leave it in for 475 for about 12 minutes.
Okay.
And guess what you do after the 12 minutes?
Turn it off.
No, it's not ready just yet. You turn it down to 350. Yes, you heard me correctly. You're supposed to put it up for 12 minutes and then bring it down, and you leave it to sit in there for 50 to 60 minutes till the top dark, like browns, kind of caramelizes a little bit. You could see, like the caramel color, but a little bit wider, not that dark. Okay.
Okay.
So, no, from what I heard, since it's your birthday and I've been making you cook and pick up the water pans. I heard you're really into chemistry. Is that true?
Yes, I'm a chemistry student.
You are? Do you really like it? Would you say it's your favorite class?
Yep. Yep, I can tell.
So, since I heard about this from a little special someone, sadly I couldn't bring in someone, but I got the next best thing. Everyone, please give it up for Miss Ariana, our scientist. And she's a chemist, true, but she specializes in baking. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So she's in chemistry and in baking. So now we're gonna FaceTime Ariana. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to her while she talks about the science stuff that Noah's into.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here today and to get the chance to explain to Noah, since it's his birthday, the science behind a cheesecake. So we're gonna start off with the crust first. For the crust, since you guys use chocolate chip cookies, there's actually a little bit of difference between chocolate chip cookies and graham cracker cookies. So after you guys crack the chocolate chip cookies, you guys use the butter with the cookies that were grounded up. So the components of butter are butter, fat, milk proteins, water, and salt. But if you don't have salted butter, then you would have no salt. The melted butter helps the cookie crust stay together in a certain shape, while the fats and the salts inside of the butter contribute to the dry paste type texture. So when you bite into it, it's not really like an actual crust, like it's really hard, like a pie crust. It's kind of like a soft to medium crust. The chocolate chip cookies' role in the crust is that it provides a basic structure and it adds sweetness since it contains sugar, vanilla extract, and chocolate chips. The chocolate chips especially help make the crust a little bit more sturdier, because while the cheesecake is heating in the oven, it melts the chocolate chips, and while the chocolate chips melt, as soon as you take them out and you let the cheesecake cool on the rack, it allows the chocolate chips to actually harden a little bit, so that it actually gives it more stability for the crust of the cheesecake. Now, you can't have a cheesecake without filling. And by the way, the crust, the butter actually kind of acts like a glue, so that's a little fun fact. For the crust, for the filling, since you guys used eggs, vanilla extract, sugar, sour cream, and cream cheese, which are all the basic ingredients, the eggs and vanilla extract contain water, which will evaporate in like high temperatures, which is 475 degrees and 350 degrees that you guys put the cheesecake in the oven. When the water evaporates, the object will be more condensed and concentrated, meaning like the object will just compact more and it'll bind more together, so that way it creates a solid structure for the bottom. The vanilla extract especially contains not only water, but it has alcohol. It actually has 35% alcohol, which removes the smell while it's evaporating. The eggs also have protein, which will harden, which is like the yellow part of the egg. It's called the yolk, and it'll get hard as you're heating the cheesecake, just like you're grilling a piece of meat on the barbecue. The fat from the sour cream and cream cheese will develop and help like gelatinize the entire cheesecake, since it's kind of like a jello, except it's not as jiggly. It's actually more sturdier than a jello. And that's what makes it richer and tender in flavor. The sugar in the cheesecake also helps to add flavor, texture, structure, and volume. Because the sugar consists of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, it makes it easy to bond to other molecules. Since it bonds with other molecules so easily, it holds onto the moisture, which makes the cheesecake a cheesecake, which is moist and rich. And you don't want to have a cheesecake that's kind of dry, because then that's just kind of really bad, and it's just it doesn't taste good. The sugar also adds flavor because it caramelizes on the top. As it's heating, the molecules break down and they become smaller and smaller portions, and they darken, which gives it that caramel golden brown look that Jocelyn was talking about earlier. And honestly, that's pretty much the basic science behind it. There is probably further details into like the compounds and everything, But just for now, just since you're starting out for cheesecakes, that's just the basic science. Hope you have a good birthday, and thanks you guys for having me on the show. Bye!
Now that our cheesecake is all ready, and look how beautiful it looks. Okay. Now, what I like to do, since we have a big crowd here today, is we cut it into fours rather than cutting it in triangles. I know some people might get offended or mad or irritated because we don't cut it into triangles, but come on people, you want us to make one cheesecake to share to 40, 30 people? We're gonna have to cut it into squares. Now, that's all for today's episode. I hope you tune back in next week while we'll be making cake pops. And who knows, we might have another surprise guest, maybe 2, maybe 3. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day. Bye!